Could you really be in this town?
Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're looking at some bang-up tales from the classic PS2 era. Storytelling in games today is on par with film and TV, but in the early 2000s, storytelling in gaming was still finding its footing. However, some games skipped finding their footing and went straight to sprinting. These are 20 PS2 games with the best stories.
Before we continue, we publish content all week long, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified of our latest videos.
Devil May Cry 3: Dante's Awakening.
He sent this invitation for you. Please accept it.
Let's start our list with a controversial one. Some hail this game and its story, while modern gamers feel it's a little too cheesy. Let's take our lens back to 2005 though, because Devil May Cry on the PS2 nails the perfect blend of over-the-top action and surprisingly heartfelt storytelling. For 2005, it's a stylish origin story for Dante, showing how a cocky, pizza-loving demon hunter matures through his intense rivalry with his brother, Virgil. The plot delivers Shakespearean family drama, if Shakespeare wore sunglasses indoors. Every cutscene is pure chaos and charm, with Dante juggling enemies and occasionally pool balls, while spouting one-liners that would make an action movie hero jealous.
No talking. Good.
Resident Evil 4.
Come on and tell us. You are a long way from home, cowboy. You have my sympathies.
Guess that's a local's way of breaking the ice.
It says a lot about Resident Evil 4 that even the 2023 remake can't quite dethrone the original. Part of the charm of the classic was its deliciously cheesy B-movie vibe, over-the-top villagers, chainsaw maniacs, and Leon's awkwardly suave one-liners. You may think it sounds crap, but it just works. The remake polished all the grit into sleek professionalism, which is great, but also kind of less fun. The original still looks surprisingly sharp, with memorable character models, crisp environments, and enough visual flair to make your inner horror fan swoon. Sure, some mechanics feel dated, but it's a must-play for anyone wanting to see why RE4 became legendary, and maybe chuckle at a few absurd moments. Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Double Agent.
Forget how to climb, Fisher? When Lambert asked me to show you the ropes, I didn't think he meant it literally.
Don't start, Hisham. Your support on this, remember?
Splinter Cell Double Agent might not top everyone's best of list, but it definitely earned points in storytelling. Sam Fisher is sent deep undercover in a terrorist group, forcing him to juggle loyalty, morality, and a lot of sweaty undercover tension. The standout mission, breaking out of prison. It's like Prison Break, but with more gadgets, stealth, and less brooding in a tank top. The whole story is tense, stylish, and makes you feel like a spy mastermind in a very clicky, lock-picking way. Morality and choice were still fresh in 2006, and the game made it seem like a well-rounded concept.
It's killed. You hate to see a good man fall so far.
Is that all you got? Come on!
Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
It's time to go home.
Welcome to Los Santos Airport.
What's up? Carl is sweet.
What's up, sweet? What you want?
This mama. She's dead, bro.
The Grand Theft Auto series is famous for a lot of things, but its storylines consistently steal the spotlight. San Andreas follows Carl C.J. Johnson, who rolls back into Los Santos after his mother's murder, ready to reconnect with his old crew and maybe clean up his life a bit. Instead, he gets dragged into gang wars, corrupt cops, and friend-on-friend betrayal. The real jaw-dropper, when Big Smoke and Ryder, the guys who you thought had your back, turned traitors, leaving CJ shaking his head and players shouting, "What? What?" It's a tale of loyalty, lies, and betrayal, so good that fans still replay it just to get their hearts broken all over again. It also begins and ends in such wildly different places that the actual journey part of the journey becomes incredibly highlighted.
Moms! Sorry, Issy. I heard a rumor and poked around.
Eco. Stylistically and conceptually, Team Eco's Eco laid the spiritual groundwork for Shadow of the Colossus, which may or may not come up later. For now, Eco, which, by the way, is pronounced Eco. I've been called out in the comments for this before, but I assure you there are videos of the producers saying Eco. You play as Eco, a young boy with horns, because why not make the main character instantly memorable? Iko has been cast out by his village and ends up helping Yorda escape her castle before her mother can, well, sacrifice her. The game's minimalist approach and sparse dialogue lets the story breathe in subtle emotional ways. It's emotional storytelling without a single dramatic monologue, which is often more effective. Yakuza 2.
どうした？
昨日の夜、今までのこと整理してたら嫌な予感がしてきてね。
嫌な予感？
ええ。私が人言派の生き残りじゃないかと思って。
The Yakuza series took a while to hit mainstream acclaim, quietly building a dedicated fan base until Yakuza 0, or Yakuza 0, exploded onto the scene in the West. But longtime fans who dove into the PS2 classics had a blast with the original games, especially Yakuza 2. Yakuza 2 cranked things up with Ryuji Goda, the Dragon of Kansai, throwing Kiryu into a collision course so epic it practically comes with its own theme song. It's dramatic, intense, and somehow involves more high-stakes family feuds than a soap opera on steroids.
出た。みんなはボンミスや言うが、わしにはそうは思えんかった。
Shadow Heart's Covenant. I'm so glad this game is coming back into people's minds because I'd forgotten about it for about 20 years, and I'm living for its renaissance. The original Shadow Hearts was already pretty solid, even if it occasionally stumbled over its own Final Fantasy ambition. Fans fell in love with its gothic, Lovecraftian vibe, so they were thrilled when the sequel arrived to polish every rough edge. Shadow Heart's Covenant blends the real-world chaos of World War I with a dark, mysterious storyline that feels like history class had a horror movie baby. With a lovable cast, twisted plot twists, and unforgettable moments, this underrated gem proves that sometimes darkness is just way more fun than math homework.
Kieran, I've already decided to do that. I'm sending you back to that village. But this time you'll be a guide.
Me, a guide?
Bully.
I haven't got all day.
And boy, remember, you will have a clean nose. So keep it clean, or we'll clean it for you.
Released just a year after GTA San Andreas, Bully lets players roam an open-world schoolyard with almost as much freedom as a teenager skipping class. Compared to GTA San Andreas, the story is simpler, but don't let that fool you, it's surprisingly engaging, and for a teenager back in 2006, way easier to connect with than gang warfare. You play as Jimmy Hopkins, the kid shoved into Bulworth Academy against his will, where the hallways are ruled by bullies and cafeteria politics are basically a sport. Jimmy sets out to bring order, surviving prank wars and clique rivalries, and of course the occasional slapstick humiliation. It's fun and funny, a great combo for a great game.
Bedroom when I was asleep as a kid, then only more recently when you were drunk under a bridge. You're right, man. How could I forget a fine role model like you?
Ho, ho! Now, listen up. There's an imposter going around claiming he's me.
Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time.
Do you think I felt regret as I gazed upon the destruction we had wrought? Or at least humility at the speed with which a world can be transformed from a good world into a hell? If you think so, you are mistaken. For in that moment I thought of one thing only. The honor and glory I would bring my father by fighting like a warrior in my first battle.
Prince of Persia The Sands of Time lucked out with a story that's still considered one of the better ones in gaming history. And this was due to temperaments at the time and even more so than the actual story, though the actual story was still stellar. Series creator Jordan Mechner clearly knew the prince better than anyone because the plot perfectly balances action, romance, and a bit of melodrama. The prince accidentally unleashes the sands of time, turning an entire city into savage monsters. Classic oops moment. Teaming up with Farah, the Maharaja's clever daughter, they try to clean up the mess. The emotional beats hit harder than expected. Farah's death is gut-wrenching, though thankfully the prince just rewinds time, proving that game mechanics will always beat the story. Sly 2 Band of Thieves.
Carmelita's just as angry as ever. She's really quite lovely when she's angry. And that Constable Neela, was a reference to the Claw Gang just a slip of the tongue, or an intentional clue?
Cartoonish style doesn't stop great storytelling, and Sly Cooper proves this with its ageless charm. The suave raccoon thief returns with his gang for an exciting heist adventure that somehow mixes witty dialogue, heartfelt friendship, and criminal mischief without ever feeling preachy. The plot hits all the right notes: betrayal, high-stakes heists, and a villain who's just as fun as she is evil. Each character gets moments to shine, and the twists keep players engaged without ever taking itself too seriously. It's like Ocean's 11, if everyone had tails, spoke in puns, and stole only priceless treasure and snacks.
He's since crowned himself Lord of the Hills, and while he goes to great lengths to convince others of his royalty, it's mostly to convince himself.
Max Payne and Max Payne 2, The Fall of Max Payne.
Gunshot was an exclamation mark to everything that had led to this point. I released my finger from the trigger, and then it was over.
I'm cheating. I'm combining two, but I don't care. I wanna. The stories of Max Payne 1 and 2 are both widely praised, though fans will happily argue about which one reigns supreme, preferably while dramatically tossing empty whiskey bottles. The first game hooks players in with its gritty neo-noir revenge tale full of mystery, dark alleys, and enough slow-motion gunfights to make John Woo jealous. The sequel, on the other hand, dives deeper into Max's tortured soul, giving us an emotionally charged, twisty story that explores his doomed romance with Mona Sachs. It's like a tragic love story. Think Romeo and Juliet and pistols.
No. Oh, don't, no, God, Sharon, baby. No!
God of War.
Now there is no hope.
And Kratos cast himself from the highest mountain in all of Greece. After 10 years of suffering, 10 years of endless nightmares, it would finally come to an end.
I used my combining a whole series into one entry on Max Payne, but I could have done it here as well. Instead, we're focusing on the first entry, and although many fans crown 2018's God of War as the series' storytelling peak, you can't sleep on the original 2005 classic. It's a mere heartbeat away. The plot itself is simple. On paper, Spartan warrior Kratos is tasked by Athena to take down Ares, his former mentor and the literal god of war. Easy, right? Just find a weapon capable of slaying a god and, deal with a few emotional landmines along the way. Kratos' rage is fueled by the death of his wife and daughter, making this tale of murder, betrayal, and revenge feel as epic as it is over the top.
To return to Earth and complete his quest.
Let go, fool! You won't drag me down to that cursed river!
There is a task left for me above. I will see it completed.
Persona 4.
Welcome to the Velvet Room.
RPGs and JRPGs are practically built to hook players with gripping stories, and Persona 4 is no exception. The game follows high schooler Yu Narukami as he dives into a murder mystery in his sleepy town, murder, intrigue, and suspiciously melodramatic fog included. On paper it sounds familiar, but Persona 4 spices things up with personas, magical avatars drawn from each character's inner self. Suddenly it's not just detective work, it's emotional self-discovery with fireballs and psychic punches. Extra murder, extra sparkle. Kingdom Hearts.
Gorge, I sure hope he's all right.
Don't worry, we'll find the king and prestige.
Kingdom Hearts is one of gaming's boldest mashups, a Final Fantasy Disney clash that just somehow works. It had zero business making sense in practice, but it has become a worldwide hit. The gameplay and visuals impressed, but the real surprise was the story. The developers blended the whimsy of Disney with the epic drama of Final Fantasy into a surprisingly coherent and gripping tale, at least in the first entry. Sora teams up with Donald and Goofy to rescue his friends, defeat the Heartless, and make sure that King Mickey gets home before bedtime. It's heartfelt, chaotic, and slightly magical chaos, with a Keyblade.
No, you're simply too big.
That talks.
Must you be so loud? You woke me up.
Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. Anyone familiar with Metal Gear Solid knows to expect a wild story, but the 2004 entry Snake Eater truly spoiled players rotten. Set in 1964, it follows Naked Snake, later known as Big Boss, as he navigates Cold War espionage while trying to stop a super weapon and look ridiculously stylish doing it. Fans loved spotting early versions of series favorites like Revolver Ocelot, while newcomers could enjoy the way the story weaves real-world events with intense spy drama. It worked for multiple people on multiple angles and gave us a gripping cinematic story that rivaled the original PS1 entry.
The name's Eva.
Shadow of the Colossus. Told you this game would come up. At first glance, screenshots of Shadow of the Colossus might make you think the story takes a back seat. After all, it's a jaw-droppingly beautiful action-adventure game with no spoken dialogue. On paper, the plot is about a young man named Wanda who treks across a forbidden land to save a girl named Mono, and along the way he has to take down 16 giant colossi. Not exactly Shakespeare, right? But that simplicity is the magic. Much like Eco, it's a journey that proves you don't need a convoluted plot to make players care. Mafia. Telling a story as rich as Mafia's on late 2000s hardware was no small feat, but Illusion Softworks pulled it off with style. The game still holds up today and serves as a blueprint for any video game trying to capture the glitz, grit, and gunfights of 1930s style mob life. It does The Godfather better than the PS2 game The Godfather. You follow Tommy Angelo as he gets swept into the criminal underworld of a fictional city inspired by Chicago, learning quickly that being a mobster isn't all fedoras and fast cars. It's betrayal, ruined friendships, and the occasional bullet in the back of the head.
Bastards!
Okami. Capcom and Clover Studios' Okami might have started as a Zelda-inspired project, but it quickly proved it was in a league of its own. Drawing on classic Japanese folklore, the gameplay borrows the familiar action, platforming, and puzzle solving of traditional Zelda titles, while the story is mostly told through gorgeous visuals rather than endless dialogue. Even today, it's a cel-shaded art style that wows, perfectly capturing themes like environmentalism and proving that sometimes saving the world looks a lot like doodling with a giant supernatural paintbrush. Final Fantasy X. I'll always remember the PS2 Final Fantasy as the first game to ever make me cry. The PlayStation 2's first Final Fantasy entry might also be one of the series' finest, showing Squaresoft at the peak of their powers. The conditional turn-based battle system kept fights fast-paced, letting party members tag in and out like a well-choreographed relay team. But the real crown jewel is the story, often hailed as one of the greatest in the franchise. Final Fantasy X doesn't shy away from darkness. The looming threat of sin keeps the people of Spira living in constant fear because this colossal, unpredictable monster shows up, smashes everything, and clearly has zero chill. But it also doesn't shy away from light, offering some of the most beautiful character dynamics ever put into practice. Silent Hill 2.
Could you really be in this town?
Duh. The first Silent Hill was already a horror masterpiece, but Silent Hill 2 took that creepy crown and ran off into the fog with it. The story follows James Sunderland, who gets a letter from his dead wife telling him to meet her in Silent Hill. Easily one of the most intriguing gaming setups to ever be written. Once there, James meets all sorts of bizarre locals, including Maria, who looks exactly like his late wife Mary and somehow knows a bit too much about his past. Big red flag, buddy. Spoiler alert, as the nightmare unfolds, James learns he actually euthanized his wife, and the monsters are twisted reflections of his guilt. It's one part horror, one part therapy session from hell, and somehow it just works beautifully.
That's why I did it, honey. I just couldn't watch you suffer.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from MojoPlays and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified of our latest videos.